Good morning. I'd like to thank you for joining us for this very important breakfast. As you heard, my name is Reed Gooding, and I've been asked to speak to you today because I have a personal connection to Alzheimer's. That connection has gotten me involved in the association. It has given me motivation to become an activist. It has me committed to ending Alzheimer's. This will be my second speech wearing my purple and my Alzheimer's Association tie. The first one I was the only one wearing. I see a lot of them out here today. The last time I was up in front of the audience was about 2 months ago. The setting was a little different, but the message was similar. That speech was for my mom. It was her eulogy. She was 69. I've taken up the cause of fighting this disease for everyone that has it and can't fight back. Naturally, I'm fighting in honor of my mom. It's what I can do for her. I recognize I'm not the most supportive or compassionate, don't always have the right words for the situation. But I am passionate, I am committed, and I am competitive. And I'm taking on this battle and I want to win. I want to win not for my mom, but for my kids. I want to see this disease controlled or completely defeated. Through the power of our relationships, we can defeat Alzheimer's. At the eulogy, we were surrounded by family and friends. Everyone in the room had a connection to Mary Gooding. So I want to take a couple of minutes and introduce her to you. The story starts before I was born. It was the summer of '59 when John met Mary. They were going into 8th grade. They quickly became an item. Then they were high school sweethearts. Their love continued through college. 7 years after they met, they got married. Soon after, my dad went to fight in the Vietnam War, and my mom was there waiting when he got back. My older brother was born in 1971, and I was born in '74. Then in 1981, my younger brother arrived. I'm not sure if he was planned or just a desperate attempt at getting a little girl, but regardless, he wasn't the Emily that my mom was hoping for. After the initial shock of the third boy wore off, he would forever be my mom's baby. We couldn't have asked for a better mom. Our wives would probably all disagree. She spoiled us. She cooked a homemade meal every night, and I do mean every night. I don't think I experienced a fast food meal until 2nd grade when I went with a friend's family. She would make a meat and a starch and a vegetable, and every meal included iced tea. Not Nestle or Turkey Hill, but Mary Gooding's fresh brewed iced tea. She did the laundry, she cleaned the house, she paid the bills. She kept the active social calendar. She was the ultimate homemaker. She made our homework. Outside the home, she was an active volunteer. She was very involved in the community and the church. From dawn to dusk, she was active. As her mother and mother-in-law grew older, Mary was the one that took care of them too. She got them to their hair appointments and their doctor appointments and wherever else they needed to go. She was the go-to person. Looking back, I realized she did it because she enjoyed making people feel special. It's a trait that I'm trying to instill in my kids, one that I admire but certainly haven't mastered. My mom was the one who was always late or one of the last people to leave a gathering because she was talking to people. She enjoyed the small talk. She wanted to know what people were up to. She made those around her feel special. She became a Stephen minister at our church. She wanted to talk with other church members who were having life problems. She wanted to provide a shoulder to cry on. And when it wasn't face-to-face, it was with a note. She was always sending notes, thank you notes, get well notes, notes of encouragement, or just thinking of you notes. Her handwriting was impeccable. Her notes were like artwork. She was the support system for so many. And then she wasn't. In the weeks leading up to my mom's passing, I knew that I wanted to offer the eulogy. As I was preparing for it, I wasn't sure what angle I would go for. Would I make it an Alzheimer's speech, or a tribute to better times? I had a lot of thoughts, but no real direction. And then it hit me. On the day my mom passed, I was doing what I do best, focusing on things that needed to get done. How could I help with the arrangements? How could I start spreading the message of her passing? How could I help my dad take care of the loose ends? And how could GSM take advantage of the massive snow up in New England? I own a roofing company. And one of our bonuses is rooftop snow removal. So when we get 30 or 40 inches of snow, or 60 or 70, we need to act fast. My mom's passing was just another event for me. But not for my oldest daughter, Zoe. She's the sensitive one in the family. She was up in her room crying, and I went up and talked to her to assure her that Grandma was in a better place. Her suffering was done. We should be celebrating, not sad. But Dad, she said, I don't remember Grandma before she got sick. And that's what I knew what I wanted to talk about. We didn't lose Mary on February 11, 2015. It was probably 2002 or 2003 when we first started noticing things. We didn't realize it at first. There wasn't one moment, but she was slipping away from us. Of course, the first person to notice, the one affected the most, the one most loyal, was my dad. Remember, she was the perfect housewife who took care of everything, but she was starting to fail. Little things at first, missed or missing checks, forgotten or double-booked appointments. Things that we thought were just stupid mistakes or sloppiness can now easily be attributed to something else. I wasn't living there, but I certainly heard about it. The frequency of the events increased. My mom recognized it, but wouldn't accept it or confront it. The forgetfulness and the sloppiness continued. The frustrations grew. She seemed like the same person. She looked the same. She was healthy, but what made her Mary wasn't there. In 2006, Dad had to start taking over the family checkbook. For the same reasons he had to take over at home, we had to force her to retire from her job at the Gooding Group Foundation. My twins were born in 2006. We have some good pictures with my mom interacting with them. She loved all of her grandkids. My wife and I went on a business trip in early 2008 and left the kids with my parents. It was evident after that trip that our kids could no longer spend the night with Grandma and Pappy. That's probably when my kids lost their grandmother. It's also about this time that she was becoming increasingly insecure, but her disdain for the doctors and the medicine kept her from doing something about it. Ultimately, nothing could have prevented the decline. Perhaps it could have been slowed. She was no longer able to quilt. She couldn't count money at the church. She couldn't play bridge. As is too often the case with any disease, this is also when her friends didn't know what to do or what to say or how to act when in her company. This is when most of my parents' friends lost their Mary. Over the next couple of years, the decline continued. She still tried to be helpful. She'd try to cook and clean. She'd pass a fork when Dad needed a knife. She'd bring a cereal bowl when he needed a saucepan. She'd wash the dishes, but wouldn't use soap. Sometimes she'd use water. Considering I'm a bit of a germaphobe, and that lack of soap and that lack of washing and general lack of hygiene, I didn't feel comfortable in the house in which I grew up. That's probably when I lost my mom. In 2010, we tried having a family conversation. We tried reasoning with a person no longer able to reason. We were forced to take her car away. We tried bringing in professional caretakers to help provide a little relief for my dad. Our attempt at bringing in an outsider didn't work. This is also when I realized something. I recognized that my mom was gone, but my dad still saw his wife. He still saw the woman with whom he shared 40 years of marriage. He still believed that when he told her something, she understood it. He still believed that she was capable of making a decision regarding her well-being. He believed or wanted to believe that his Mary was still there. Over the next 4 years, it got harder. My dad relied on family and some very dear friends to help watch my mom for a few hours every week, but nighttime would always come and morning would always follow, and he was always the primary caregiver. Mary was completely gone. It was probably in late 2013 or early 14 that he finally accepted it. Yet somehow he stood by her. He'd rub her shoulders or hold her hand, give her a hug and kiss every night. He took a vow, for better or for worse, and somehow he honored his commitment. For the last 12 years, he morphed into the sole provider, the homemaker, the bookkeeper, the chef, and ultimately, unfortunately, the caretaker. And on that last day, he held his sweetie's hand and he professed his love and he assured her she could go. There's a popular poem in the Alzheimer's community, and it's something like, it sounds almost like my mom reading it to my dad, and it goes like this. Do not ask me to remember. Do not try to make me understand. Let me rest and know you're with me. Kiss my cheek and hold my hand. I'm confused beyond your concept. I'm sad and sick and lost. All I know is that I need you to be with me at all cost. Do not lose your patience with me. Do not scold or curse or cry. I can't help the way I'm acting. Can't be different though I try. Just remember that I need you. The best of me is gone. Please don't fail to stand beside me. Love me till my life is done. And I can tell each and every one of you that he did. He most certainly did. This picture was taken in the fall of 2014, 4 months before she passed away. The picture shows a family portrait taken on a fall day. The woman in the picture looks healthy. She even looks happy. The picture doesn't show the struggle of getting that same woman outside. It doesn't show the tears that came with the downtime between the different photo shoots. It doesn't show the pure bewilderment of the woman sitting there. It doesn't show that this woman was surrounded by familiar strangers. You certainly can't see that the woman sitting there doesn't know how to get dressed. You don't know that she's wearing diapers. You can't tell she can't understand a simple command of stay there or turn your head to the left. You don't see that she'd get lost walking in her own neighborhood, or she'd starve to death if someone didn't feed her. That's the problem with Alzheimer's. You don't see the story behind the picture. Alzheimer's teases you. It steals the person and leaves the shell. Alzheimer's must be defeated. And that's why I've gotten involved. Last year, we started a team for Lancaster's Walk to End Alzheimer's. Through our connections, the GSM Memory Marchers were able to raise over $33,000. I continue to fight, to advocate, to donate, to support the organization, and to hope. I believe this is a disease we can see eliminated together. We can defeat Alzheimer's. We didn't lose Mary Gooding on February 11, 2015. She was set free. Rest in peace, Mom. We won't forget you.